Dark and Darker has been facing a lot of troubles because they haven't been allowed to launch their game on Steam, and it's kind of caused some issues, and people have been having problems with the game, and apparently they didn't have the best launch. I haven't really been paying attention to the drama around the launch because I'm waiting for the game to come back to Steam, which ultimately means waiting for their legal troubles to clear up. But let's see what some of the problems they've been having are.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Today, a report on the wacky situation with Dark and Darker. And this truly is a strange one. Steam Next Fest saw this game's demo absolutely surge to the top. People absolutely loved it. Since then, though, it's been a chaotic and dramatic roller coaster that now has actually seen a fair few players kind of turn against the dev. So here's what's happened. Dark and Darker, the dungeon-crawling PvPvE extraction game that set Steam on fire earlier this year, has actually released. And this is, of course, after all of the legal stuff with Nexon. The thing is, though, it did not release on Steam. Instead, these ongoing legal troubles over potential copyright...
Right. I don't think they can launch on Steam, or they'll even be allowed to launch on Steam until they clear up the legal troubles. I think Steam is going to avoid the game completely because they don't want to be involved in the drama of the copyright until that's settled in court somewhere. So they went with a different launch system, and I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, which is a problem for those who were interested in the game because it's an unknown entity that they're purchasing it through.
Copyright infringement and employee malpractice have meant that it is still not actually on Steam. They want the game to get onto Steam eventually, but Valve's traditional position in this sort of thing is that whenever they receive any kind of challenge, they just leave it up to the parties involved to figure it out, and they won't take any action. So there'll be...
Right. It's just a thing where Steam is protecting themselves from any kind of or opening themselves up for anyone to argue that they are in fact aiding or leading into the whole copyright claims or anything like that. It keeps them out of all of the lawsuits, out of the courtroom, out of everything. If they just prevent it from happening, they don't get dragged through any of this process.
Be nothing with Steam until all the legal stuff is done with. Now, obviously, this would create a problem for the developer Iron Mace, who now have got to find a store that's actually willing to publish their game, and that's in spite, of course, of whatever legal risks. And that is where things got odd, because they have partnered with a South...
I mean, that is a big ask, right? Like, hey, I know we're getting sued and we have all this other stuff going on, but will you put our game out there? I guess they found someone, though.
Korean store and publisher Shaft Games. And this is where it's odd, because they've partnered as both publisher and distributor of the game. Now, they're not necessarily known outside of the Korean territory, which did cause some concern and confusion for Western PC audience who, broadly speaking, unless it's a very big publisher or is Steam, they'll be suspicious. But what's actually happened is that what should have been a somewhat triumphant release of a game that was hotly...
I don't even know if it's suspicious as much as I don't want another game launcher browser on my computer. I have Steam, I have Epic, I have Xbox, PC Pass, I have Blizzard. I don't want another one is what it really comes down to. I don't know that I'm suspicious of Shaft Games. I don't know anything about Shaft Games, and if Dark and Darker was the biggest game I was interested in, I really like the game and I want to play the game, but I'm not interested enough to go through the process of getting another game browser on my computer to continue moving forward like that. So I think it's more of that, where you're just adding more and more systems onto your computer, as opposed to being suspicious or weary of a game publisher like that.
Anticipated after it faced down legal struggles from a group that have an ungodly amount of money. They did not get the launch that they wanted. Okay, it launched with multiple editions.
I'm going to be real honest. I don't think they were ready to launch. I really don't think that they were at the point where they actually wanted to launch the game yet. I think they had a roadmap that got accelerated because they need the income to fight the battles they're fighting. If I'm going to be honest, I think they wanted a little bit more time to develop, and I think they were doing that on Steam through their betas, which kept a lot of interest in the game, but they could no longer do their betas on Steam, which is a problem for hype. And then they had all this money going out to legal fees. I think they launched early in order to fight. I'm not sure though.
And microtransactions with the form of a premium currency, which a lot of people didn't see coming. Also, regular issues, server.
I don't know how people didn't see the premium currency thing coming with the microtransactions, because there was a store in the menu, and that store had a coin system that I never saw in the dungeon. Gonna point that out, I guess.
Crashed, purchases sometimes went through twice or just not at all, and game downloads were unstable. It was also revealed by Iron Mason
Not
Discord
good.
that they were unable to release in their native territory of South Korea because they could not get the game rated by the local ratings board, and additionally, in-game VoIP could not be enabled because the end-user license agreement around player interactions isn't actually ready.
Okay, so the end user license agreement not being ready is kind of an indicator that they launched early, but they're also spending legal fees on things other than the EU LA because they're fighting in court. And then with the rating thing, that's really weird. I wonder if that has something to do with kind of like gaming politics and Nexon trying to convince the South Korean rating board to kind of like slow play or not rate the game until the court issues are resolved, which could be a thing.
Ready yet. Now, those issues regarding the launcher stability and the payments were fixed right within the day. And,
getting double paid is a huge problem.
All, duplicate purchase refunds automatically. They were offering refunds unconditionally.
The right thing
for
to do.
Anybody who regretted their purchase, which is absolutely the right thing to do. But that was not the end of their problems. So, when installing the launcher for the game from Iron Mace's site, a lot of antivirus software started flagging it as a Trojan, right? So we were getting false positives there. People on Reddit, of course, were doing, breakdowns of why this was happening. But the problem then is if you tried to, use the built-in uninstaller, it would get quite trigger happy and it would delete the entire directory that the game was installed to. Quite a problem. Now, per Iron.
Not ideal. Not ideal. You buy the game, you accidentally paid for it twice, you have to get one refunded, then you install it and it's not stable, but then your computer says that, oh, this game is actually a Trojan device, and then you try to uninstall it, but then it installs the entire game instead of just the one antivirus thing, and all less than ideal. But seeing launches like this from much bigger companies who were in a much better position not fighting a legal battle, right? So not great, but it is what it is, right?
In Mace, they were confident they would be able to resolve this and it won't impact people any further on either side of the launcher. But it basically does mean that overall they had problems buying the game, installing the game, playing the game, and deleting the game. So just about every point of interacting with the game was an issue. Though obviously, perhaps this is not an unexpected thing because of a very large...
Everything you try to do with the game, not ideal. Got it. Does that mean it's a bad game? I don't think so. I think there's something like 60,000 people watching Dark and Darker in the middle of the day on Twitch. So not terrible, right? People are still enjoying the game, but it is a bad launch, admittedly.
Large surge of responses given, the drama, which meant that everybody knows about this game. And how was I guess, launching in a store that, I don't know, maybe wasn't used to it. Kind of hard to say. But I think what really raised eyebrows, what sent my eyebrows upwards on my face, was
there's more
microtransactions. Yeah,
See,
people weren't particularly thrilled about this, and of course, considering the way that the community's been very feral for this game, you know, they're wanting to support Iron Mace because of this big
Yep.
David versus Goliath,
Right.
narrative going on. It's almost been the moral imperative, right, to help out these developers. They are being attacked by big angry Nexon with its big Nexon legal bat. Many pointed back to words in Iron Mace's website that said, "We're a merry band of veteran game developers disillusioned by the exploitative and greedy practices we once helped create." So when there's microtransactions on their store, some people feel more than a little betrayed, right? We have posts here, and again, these aren't small posts, 609 upvotes in the subreddit, just shy of 1,000 for another one. It's insane how quickly the narrative has shifted on the game in Iron Mace in less than a day. Why defend anti-consumer behavior?
Shifted that
now, this
much?
is something that was addressed.
Like, I don't think it has shifted that much. Like, I feel like people are still excited about it and watching it. And again, I don't know how people didn't see some form of microtransactions coming, because the last Steam beta that I played, I saw a skeleton outfit available in a store for purchase of with like the silver coin something or other that I hadn't seen in the game, which to me indicated that they were going to have a store with skins for you to buy. And again, in the whole world of microtransactions, I do not care if they sell skins as long as nothing they sell changes gameplay or makes it easier to win. If you just sell skins that make something look cool, it does not matter. Don't buy them. It doesn't change anything. But people get this like fear of missing out, or they get invested and they want to have the like coolest looking things, so they're intimidating, or whatever the case may be that drives you to buy a skin. If you like it, buy it, whatever, doesn't matter, doesn't change the game. You can do everything for free. That's as long as that's the case, I'm fine with microtransactions. And like, I saw microtransactions coming with this game because despite they want that, like, we got disillusioned by the greedy man publisher, I saw a store in the game, so I figured that everyone knew that microtransactions were going to be in the game. You played the beta, you should have known that they were going to have a store with skins for sale. That's just kind of how I feel about it.
By the CEO, Terrence Park, in a statement when the store was announced. So let's read that statement. Our assumption when we started this company was that you could still build a lucrative business while being true to your fans. The in-game shop is our attempt at being realistic with the business of running an online game, but trying to find a way to do it without resorting to random loot boxes and FOMO items. However, if you say that this will be part of early access, what the shop looks like, whether it's fair, that is a part of the early access idea. So the shop will be iterated on based on feedback from players. They also have got 2 Founders Editions.
I mean, that's
for
like
the
a big
game. Retailer. That's
a big point too. Like, realistically, if you're running an always online game, a game like this, you have to pay for servers. And like, the initial game purchase will only fund servers for so long. You have to have a way to have money coming in continuously throughout the game's life cycle in order to fund the servers, in order to allow people to play it. It's just the nature of the beast in the modern always online game and multiplayer game like scope. You can't have an always online, always multiplayer game without having a way to fund the servers, and you can't bank on people continuously buying the game in a volume that continues to allow access for servers. Servers aren't free, is what it comes down to.
At $50 is an additional way to show some more support, and that has been received more favorably. So ultimately, then, Iron Mace are in a position that's
I think it's
quite tricky, right? It's going to be hard for even.
I think $50 is a fair ask for the amount of content and what I saw just in beta. And if they've added to that experience, which I've seen outdoor maps that I never saw before, so they've added more maps and more things like that. So like, just what I experienced in beta, $50 seems like a reasonable price point for where this game is or was.
even the most ambitious of independent developers. They've got to pay their staff, their costs, ongoing development,
And legal
but
fees.
Most indie devs are not also fighting an expensive legal battle against one of the largest companies in gaming,
That
who
is a
literally were
big
able to
point.
prevent the developer from selling their game for months. You know, this is longer than the studio intended. And again, here's the thing about Steam, right? That a lot of you guys, you know, I don't want to say you don't know, but you won't appreciate in the same way that somebody who's actually published a game on Steam will appreciate. I've got the experience of publishing a game. It's called The Pale Beyond, blah, 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 link in the description, etc. Yes, if you are just wondering in here, we're also a game development studio. So
Just a quick
when I
plug.
look at a lot of the sales for Pale Beyond, a lot of that is from you guys. But as an example, we get a daily deal. I did a video about that. We get a daily deal, and you know, in the stage of like a day, you know, we get like 1,000 sales.
Okay.
No, there's like 3,000 sales anyway. We get a bunch of sales of the game, and that's like really great. That traffic came from the Steam homepage. It didn't come from YouTube, right? So being on Steam is important. We have, you know, 180,000 wish lists for the Pale Beyond. And
Steam is probably the biggest way PC gamers play, which is why I think Dark and Darker won't ever be able to reach its full potential unless it's able to get back on Steam where they want it to be.
And any time that your game drops to a lower discount level than it's ever been at before, everyone who's wishlisted the game gets a notification. You know, whenever on Steam you get a notification saying the game you wishlisted has came out or, you know, is on sale. That's a lot of people. And this is a game that topped Next Fest. So
yeah,
yes, they can make some money now, but the number of people who will actually convert into caring about them as a developer or keeping up with the story is vanishingly small. A lot of people will have just wishlisted the game, moved on with their day. Now, all that's gone.
Accurate.
That is a humongous loss, right? Humongous. Steam is more important than most people can appreciate. In that, you know, when you see, oh, that's how our game sold, it's like you kind of appreciate what actually goes on in Steam. So then, the class divide. Dark and Darker already retails for $35. So from the player perspective, that does represent a solid investment in a game. It's asking for an initial buy-in to get the game that is an early access game. So, you know, in theory then, in a game like this, you'd be able to, you know, grind the in-game currency, unlock the new classes, and do all of that. But what if a game is actually playing a little bit more like a free-to-play in terms of an unlock like this? Because if the way in which players can access classes is reasonable, it doesn't feel bad. But this, friends, is not one of those situations.
Wait, what?
This is where Iron Mace's, you know, the way they've done things, it has went beyond initial shock and surprise and into genuine, oh no, this is not good. People have worked out that it ends up being a very significant time investment to be able to afford a class. Here's somebody saying, with a 20% average survival rate and the average game lasting 12 minutes for the last playtest, that means it's going to take the average player 1,800 games or 360 hours to unlock one class. That's a lot of hours. This then means...
Wait, you have to unlock the classes?
Say, sells a shortcut to unlock a class that only costs $10. That's pretty damn tempting. I mean... $10 for 360 hours. Time is money, friend. Yeah. Now, the optics of this whole...
See, this is where you cross the line because now you are paying for something that affects gameplay. I like the fact that you can grind it out in-game, but that's a big grind, and you're allowing people almost pay to win to jump over the grind via payment to get the other classes. I didn't know that they locked out classes for a paywall. That is the type of microtransaction that I don't agree with. If you buy something that affects the gameplay, you buy something that changes the way you experience the game for the better, that's kind of my line in the sand when it comes to paying for stuff in a game. Dark and Darker may have just lost me. They may have lost me as someone that is genuinely interested in the game and had a lot of fun in it because they want to make me pay to get to the point where I can enjoy the full game once I'm already in the game. And that is a problem.
whole thing, we're slightly muddled when we look at Iron Mace's situation, because per their previous comments, Dark and Darker was originally supposed to launch with 6 classes. Anything past that point would be downloadable content. Obviously, though, the launch was delayed while work in the new classes continued. And that meant that by the time the game actually came out, those classes were ready to be added to the game. So, if they've been costed for development based on being paid DLC, then it leaves Iron Mace in somewhat of a dilemma as to how they release them. The DLC is sitting right there, and it could be making them the money that they need to keep the lights on, especially in the context of not being on Steam and legal bullshit. So continuing on with their plan does make sense in that situation. However, though, from the player's perception, it maybe will feel like money grabbing. That means it may not be the best idea.
Little bit.
But fortunately, though, Iron Mace have actually listened, and they have changed their plans per PC Gamer's reporting. Their CEO was warning people in Discord not to purchase the class microtransaction, while also he was detailing they'll be working on a solution to make things right. And that means it's unclear whether they will be offering refunds. I actually imagine they will, just based on how they reacted previously.
At least they listened. If they walk this back, maybe they won me back. Maybe they lost me and won me back just that quickly. But like the fact that they were gonna charge for classes, and now because of the backlash, they realize it's a mistake. At least they realize a mistake, and they're trying to walk back the decision, I guess. But
launch day messes.
That's just
other people
real scummy in my mind.
Or just exactly whatever, making things right actually means. Now it's finally making some money back, even if it's irritating people. This maybe can be a lifeline for those developers. Over at Nexon, of course, they have Dave the Diver's money coming in. I'm sure their coffers are refilling from that. And, all the things they do that actually make boatloads of money, because Dave the Diver's still a small game in comparison to, I imagine, what a big Nexon project makes. But, of course, Iron Mace are not in quite a, big chest full of cash.
No, they don't have a massive war chest.
That goes. If they can continue on and get past their legal battles, then the Steam market awaits. And if I assume their store page has just been taken down, if it's restored, I guess their wish list should still be there. That'll be important for them. There's a lot of money in that. A wish list is a very big asset. I mean, you guys wouldn't, if you don't like work in business M&A, which I mean, I don't, but here's a good example. Sometimes whole businesses are acquired because of connections they have to other businesses and databases of customers. Like if someone has a database of, 60,000 customers, and that business gets acquired, rolled into another business that can then add their products to the same, to a similar offering to that 60,000 customers, then that ends up actually being a situation where people pay a friggin' boatload of money.
This is why companies want you to sign up for loyalty programs and everything like that. If they can acquire bulk data, it just increases the value of their company outside of the products and services they provide. Bulk data collection and user information is like the biggest sold thing on the internet. Everyone wants to have all the information to optimize the selling of their product. It's why YouTube channels get sold and bought for such high amounts, because they have a user and a view count, and someone can just go in there and like rebrand it with all the subscribers already attached and just start pumping out content to try to monetize those subscribers. It's why systems like that exist. He's not wrong.
Not for the team, just for perhaps the product and even just the database, right? So, whenever we talk about assets in a business, it's not just, it's not just capital investment. It's not just team and experience.
Accurate.
It's also data. Now, I have a final thing. I just put it in the doc here as just WTF, because here's a new game coming out in Steam, everyone. It's called Dark. Dive into Dark, a 3D multiplayer medieval fantasy that blends dungeon crawling with battle royale. Customize your hero, explore treacherous dungeons, and engage in strategic battles. What? This game's coming out in Q3 2023. And we can see here it's playtest.
That's right around the corner.
Video. Does this look like Dark and Darker to you? I mean, we're probably not seeing similar levels of polish or anything, but
it is not polished, but it's going spot on.
Because, if we have Nexon who are angry over Dark and Darker, now we have a game called
This drives me absolutely insane, because Only Up comes out. There's like 7 clones of Only Up now. Dark and Darker hits legal trouble. There's that would be the second one. So I've heard of 2 clones of Dark and Darker. The other one is like something Greed. One of my viewers pointed it out to me. It's not Greed of Man. Greed of Man was a scam game. Let me look for it real quick. Greed is Good, which is another one. So like, I hate that someone sees a popular thing. Like, I already hate that the gaming market as a whole, they get on these trends and they lock into trends. Like, this is popular now, so we're going to make 10 more games that are exactly like this. Triple A space is that. They get on these like trends and they lock in and they stay on trend for like a long time. And it's super annoying. And now it's happening outside of that in smaller development where you have, and Only Up has 7 clones. Dark and Darker now has 2 clones on Steam. And it's like, why? Come up with something new, a new interesting IP that is a different experience for players to get into will always outperform something that is already out there and doing well. The fact of the matter is, Dark and Darker got so many people's attention because it was unique, new, and exciting. And that is what people, Baldur's Gate, it is different from what most normal gamers typically play. That is what is exciting. Starfield is going to be different because it's in a different environment and it's a new IP and a new storyline. And that is what's different. And that's the thing. Like, none of these clones are going to get hit with copyright infringement, which I think actually helps Dark and Darker. I mean, it's obviously a very different situation in the fact that one of them worked for the company that's claiming copyright infringement. But like, Dark and Darker and Nexon aren't going to go after Dark. They're not going to go after Greed is Good because they don't have that individual personal connection with the developers. It's a straight clone, but it's hard to prove that like it's copyright infringement because they built it from the ground up, so to speak, right? I think it's just ridiculous that these game companies want to release the same thing because it's popular right now. And like, how is that the most viable strategy? New, interesting games that engage a different mechanism than previous games is what gamers are going to be most attracted to. Clones will always fall further down the list, but people will continue to play them, right?
Dark. So now is it going to be, Nexon sue Iron Mace for Dark and Darker, and then Dark and Darker sue Dark for Dark and Darker, and then it all just gets crazy. This is coming from developer and publisher JGRAG. What? What's going on? What is this? What's happening? And as we continue, it's like we've entered a crazy hallucination. MMO, PvP, co-op, Steam achievements, full blah blah blah. Look at this, the twisted and treacherous world of Dark. Key features: PvP and PvE combat, expansive character customization, dynamic dungeon environments, competitive leaderboards.
Exactly the same.
What is going on? I don't know. Nobody knows. But this appeared in Steam. What the hell does it mean? Didn't mean for that to rhyme. Actually, let's press through the demonetized word 1 and 2 and view the community hub. What's going on in the community hub? We have, yo, this looks dope. Scam or not scam though? Scam confirmed. Please report this scam. There you so.
Scam.
This is as of the 22nd of July. Is this Dark without the Darker? Title says it all. It's a scam. Yeah. The guy asked twice for money to get some support, promised the second time playtest will be open. So shady things, personally, I no longer trust. Scam Lamau, how to get access. I want to try this. Are people confused? What's going on? Yes.
Scam.
Anyway,
another massive problem in the current like gaming space from indie developers is the scams. There are so many out there that like they have this huge promise that they give you, but it's a complete scam and it's a shell to get you interested, to give you like give a little bit of money, and then they're gonna like pull the rug out from under you, say we can't develop it, or release something that isn't even worth playing.
So bizarre. don't go anywhere near this
Awful.
with money or anything. It seems really fishy. What a thoroughly bizarre and tiresome situation.
Now, the whole situation is really just madness. Complete and utter madness. And it's all because of a lawsuit, and like the game isn't allowed to go where it needs to go. If they never got sued, I don't know that they would have had the issues with launch that they had going to a third party. Obviously, their attentions are divided because they're in court. It's just a bad situation all around, and I feel bad for the developers of Dark and Darker, but like hopefully they can weather the storm. Hopefully they come out on top and they can get on Steam, because if they're able to get to the point where they can get back on Steam, I have no doubt that they'll just rack it up and they'll shoot up, and life will be kind of gravy for them, really, if they get to the point where they just jump back on Steam. Go ahead and check out Beeler News. Beeler News, good creator. He does a lot of like generalized gaming news. Here's the link to the video. Make sure you give that video a like. Definitely worth a watch. I don't know. They really fumbled the ball on the launch, and some of the things they did makes me weary about the game. But it seems like they're listening to the community and they're walking back the parts of their microtransaction plan that I don't really like. So, you know, at least they have that going for them, and I'll just keep my eye on it and hope that sometime in the future they get on Steam.
Like and subscribe, do this stuff. You want all that? All of that. Hey there, it's Skeg Broggy. Thanks for watching the video. And if you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and follow me here on Twitch for more awesome content. Link is in the description.